very special episode of Dorktown. This is the Rickey Henderson episode, and the special.
What did you say this was about? This was about baseball, but like what in particular was it about?
Who don't even watch sports, believe it or not. So you and I get to be the ones to tell them about Rickey Henderson.
The honor of a lifetime.
The honor of a lifetime, okay. Dorktown.
It's almost impossible to establish an unbreakable career record at this point in history. Baseball has just been around too long for that. Consider the all-time home run record of 762. Want to break it? Okay. First, you need to play at least 20 seasons. How likely is that? Well, in this 20-year span, 1,688 position players entered the major leagues. 16 of them ended up playing at least 20 seasons.
Oh, wow.
So your odds of playing that long are less
slim
than
to none.
1%.
Slim to none.
Now that you've threaded that needle, the only thing you have to do next is hit 38 home runs in all 20 of those seasons.
Damn!
Do you realize how difficult that is to do even once? Let's stay in this same time span.
That's
Hitters
nuts.
played a total of 2,750.
So nobody breaking that thingy ever again. That record.
2 full seasons. 113 of them resulted in at least 38 home runs. That is about 4%. You have to make it to the top 4% every year for 20 years straight.
Back to back to back.
Congratulations, you're still 3 short of breaking the record. You're gonna have to come back at like age 42 and hit 3 more. I'm sorry.
Age 42, exactly. You remember how we talked about being 45 and still playing baseball?
To break the record by 1. There is no such thing as shattering a record like this. That's never gonna happen.
This is a record of like in 20 seasons, this guy had 763 home runs. That's actually insane.
To do with Rickey Henderson, we'll get there. Here's the progression of the home run record throughout the entire history of baseball.
Wow.
In the 20s and 30s, Babe Ruth dragged the record to about 94% of what it is today.
Damn.
We've spent the last 80 years or so hacking away at the final 6% or so. That is generally how these records work, right? The hits record has barely moved since the Great Depression. Same with runs, same with RBI. The total bases mark hasn't moved since before I was born.
Damn.
It's very easy to look at this and conclude that we're very close to reaching the physical limits of how much a human being can do on a baseball diamond. That we've done the very best we can do. Now with walks, we can see a bit of a revolution. Barry Bonds heaped a full 20% on the all-time walks record, decades after you're supposed to shatter a record like that. But the real revolution, perhaps the greatest one-man revolution we can find in baseball's record books, belongs to Rickey
goddamn.
Henderson. The stolen base record had barely moved.
Stolen bases, okay.
Thousands of players shuffled in and out of the box scores. Only Lou Brock could even make the slightest dent. And then,
what the
Rickey
fuck?
Henderson did that. A spike that dramatic just isn't supposed to happen at this point in baseball history.
Look at this damn line. It was just straight. A small like difference right here. Then he just
Too many players played for too many years for this to be happening. It's like throwing your name in a slab of concrete that was poured last month. But Rickey did it. Alex, we can't talk about Rickey Henderson without sharing some Rickey Henderson stories that may or may not be true. One of my favorites is it establishes that Rickey Henderson was kind of an alien. He didn't get a lot of things, not because he wasn't smart.
Bro, let's get to the damn story, bro.
Just from another planet, where like things like money don't exist. Case in point, one time his team was their record books were way off. Like they had $1 million more than they thought they were going to have.
Oh wow!
And they eventually find out the root of the problem. They call Rickey Henderson. They're like, "Hey, that $1 million check that we wrote you, did you cash it?" It turned out he did not. He put it on his wall. He framed it.
Holy shit!
I wonder.
This dude is a dumbass. This dude is a dumbass. He just had $1 million on his wall like
what
that.
they use in his planet to exchange for goods and services.
He just had $1 million on the wall.
Career runs record in 01. That was about par for the course for a guy who was always in scoring position, who loved scoring position, who lived in scoring position. But to get in scoring position, one must first get on base. This was easy for Rickey. As one of just 32 humans in the history of planet Earth with membership to the 3,000 hit club, his bat got him aboard plenty. And when it didn't, his patience and discipline consistently did from the moment he entered
Youngest players with 115 plus walks in a season, okay.
gigs, drawing 117 walks his first full year, the youngest player ever to walk that much in a season.
20 to
The next step
21,
would be
okay.
swiping second, which, well, we all know Rickey enjoyed standing at first base about as much as Bobby Cox enjoyed calm, pleasant discourse with umps.
By the way,
With all
he's
these
like
walks and steals, it didn't take
insane.
long
These
to make
graphs are
history.
nuts.
Before he
He's
even
breaking
left 25
records.
candles, Henderson already had 3 different seasons in which he both drew 100 walks and stole 100 bases. Since 1900, every other MLB player has combined to give us 0 of those 100 seasons.
0?
So as you might have guessed, for his overall career, the frequency with which he'd reach base and steal his way to more is unprecedented. Feels like we ought to take a look at MLB's all-time leaderboard for most times getting on via hit or walk with stolen bases thrown in too. We see that not only is Rickey king here, all the way at the top with over 6,600 of them.
Holy
Ty Cobb,
shit!
Pete Rose, and Barry Bonds.
Like if you like exclude this Ty, my brother Ty, he's just clear. Like he's 600 above like number 3, number 4, and 300 above number 2.
Even in
He's
ballpark,
clear.
no one else is within 1,000. For perspective, in 2017, Joey Votto led the majors with 318 hits plus walks plus stolen bases. That means Eddie Collins, even with being top 5 on the all-time list, would still need to tack on nearly 3.5 MLB-leading Votto seasons just to bridge the gap between he and Henderson.
Here's another one. Rickey played here in New York City for a while. He played for the Yankees, and upon getting a home here, he was so proud of his new condo. He was telling all his teammates about it, and he bragged that he could see the entire state building.
Oh, wow.
Come on, Rickey.
He was rich, though. He must have been so
good,
rich.
Right? Yeah, no, it's true. It's actually true. Y'all remember Stratego? That board game where you had to send your army to fight?
Oh, yeah. This game was cold. This game, Stratego, this game was so cold. I remember playing this game a lot. This game was so fun. Holy, this was one of the first strategy games I ever played, and it was so fun.
Where the flag was. I remember there was a kid in my neighborhood who was so good at this game and so overconfident that he would always turn his flag around and say, here's a flag, try to get it. And he would still win. That was Rickey Henderson on the base paths, especially in 1982. That season, he had 225 stolen base opportunities.
Damn.
In other words, he was on either first or second, and the next base was open. He attempted 172 steals, so in effect, if you were a pitcher who gave Rickey a chance to steal, he would do so about
just steal
3/4 of the time.
Oh, wow.
Now, usually stolen bases rely on the element of surprise.
I'm so fucking... I sound so fucking... Like, wow.
Right, but Rickey used the threat of a stolen base as a weapon, as if to say, I am going to steal. There is nothing you can do about it. It seems reckless, but it's not reckless if you're good enough. He'd just steal until he got caught. This figure is just a little bit inflated because it doesn't account for the times Rickey stole multiple times in a single trip around the bases. In 1982 alone, there were 19 times in which he stole second and then turned around and stole third on the same trip.
Oh, the same one.
Rickey
That's
was
crazy.
one of the most resourceful athletes I have ever seen. He was an expert of making something out of absolutely nothing. He demonstrated this masterfully on June 8th, 1982 against the White Sox. In the 5th inning, he lucked into first thanks to an error by the third baseman. The guy behind him hit a single. Rickey managed to stretch himself all the way to third on that hit, which, by the way, is another of his talents.
Holy shit.
Going from first to third on a single is often pretty tough to do.
He could do this hit 43.5% of the time? That's actually
But throughout
nuts.
his career, Rickey made it to third almost half the time. Anyway, right after that, Rickey steals home. Fast forward 2 innings later. Rickey gets hit by a pitch and sent to first base. Then he immediately steals second. Then he immediately steals third.
Wow.
From there, all it takes is a single to send him all the way home.
Bro, this guy was crazy, no?
Within 3 innings, Rickey Henderson had turned an error and a beanball into 7 bases.
7
Rickey
bases.
was an alchemist.
So he threw left-handed
Jesus, bro.
and batted right-handed. Now, there have been over 800 players in the live ball era with at least 5,000 career plate appearances. He is the only one to do that.
Okay, throwing left-handed, I understand. But I don't understand how y'all right-handers do stuff right-handed. It's so weird. Whenever I watch you guys write, it's like, how do you even write right-handed? I don't get it.
What also makes Rickey's 1982 season so transcendent is how he stacked up within the context of the American League. Upon conclusion of that beautiful 3-steal game in Chicago, Rickey's total for the season had risen to 57, literally tripling any other AL player with no one else even at 20.
Bro, these graphs are not supposed to be happening, by the way. This guy was so fast. He was so rapid. Wow. Wow. Holy shit. 1982. What the fuck? This guy was rapid, no? Like, look at the graphs.
He could have just
He's
kicked his feet
breaking
up
like
right
all
in early
records.
June,
Like,
gone on
I'm
to
sure
battle
people who analyzed this shit back in the 80s like must have been like, what the fuck is going on with this guy?
for the rest of the year, and he still would have led his league in steals for the
He was
season
breaking all records
after
and
taking
shit, bro.
the final 105 games off. Fast forward to near the end of the season, and before missing some time over the final couple weeks, Rickey woke up on the morning of September 12th with 124 steals.
Damn.
Cleveland was the lone AL team to have stolen that many.
The entire goddamn team, bro. The entire damn team. If Henderson is a man, everyone else were boys, bro. Exactly, bro. Like, this motherfucker solo had more fucking stolen bases than, like, the entire league. Like, the entire league's team. Like, only the fucking Cleveland Indians or whatever the name is, like, were better.
Baltimore,
Like, holy
Boston,
shit.
and Minnesota combined. Minnesota in particular
What
is worth a
the
deeper
fuck?
dive into how they stacked up against Rickey, because that's where it gets really weird. So at this point of the year, the Twins had completed 87% of their season. They were sitting there with a total of 32 stolen bases.
Wow.
At the same point in time, let's
Wow.
check how much Rickey Henderson had stolen
68.
just third base.
Just third base.
And would you look at that? It's 33.
Just
That
third
year,
base.
Less than 1 out of 10 stolen
What
bases
the
were
fuck,
third.
bro?
And yet here we stood in mid-September.
This
with
guy's
one
making
man
manyan, bro. This guy is just, like, breaking all records.
having stolen just that base. more than
All
an entire
bases
team
for,
has
like,
stolen
fucking
any
the
base.
Minnesota teams or
That
whatever. And this guy was, like, crazy, no?
So I think what we've learned is we could go on a very long time about Rickey Henderson. It's really tough to name a more interesting baseball
Super
player?
athlete, legit, like a super athlete.
Other than Adam Dunn, yeah.
It's Adam Dunn, number 2, Rickey Henderson. Can you name a baseball player less interesting than Rickey Henderson?
Everyone but Adam Dunn.
Brad Glantz.
And Brad
That's your
Glantz.
answer.
Damn. This guy must have he must have shook all of the analysts and all of these people. Holy shit. This guy popped off. That's crazy, that's crazy, that's crazy. Anyway.